It's the winter, and that's probably the least favorite time of year for your car because between the cold temperature, the snow, the ice, the potholes, it can amount to a whole lot of problems for your ride. So today we're at E&G Automotive in Chicopee. We're here with Eric Lubarski. He is the owner. Eric, winter's a really tough time for our cars for so many reasons. Let's start by talking about coolant. What do we need to know and check in our cars?
Coolant, big thing is coolant level, which a lot of times if you have a clear bottle, you can check right through. There's usually a mark that shows the level. Another thing we check is the freeze point of the coolant. In other words, when it freezes into a block of ice, what temperature.
Because we don't want that.
No, you don't want that.
It's the worst scenario.
No, that'll break things. And also, a lot of people don't realize the alkalinity of the coolant. In other words, how acidic it is. And we test it with a test strip.
I was going to say, this is a really neat test strip. Not a lot of people have this in their homes, and you can determine the temperature and the alkalinity and all that good stuff.
Right, just by the color. We dip it, and then we match the color up to the chart, and it tells us the freeze point, and then these two here are the alkalinity.
All our fluids, for that matter, it's important that we keep them at their adequate point. What can happen to some fluids if they're not kept at their high levels?
Coolant, obviously, if the coolant is low, you can overheat. A lot of symptoms that we get this time of year is lack of heat because there's not enough to circulate through the heater core.
It seems like a small thing too, but if it's snowing or if there's a lot of salt on the road that's kicking up onto your windshield, it's really important that we keep the windshield wiper fluid levels checked.
Yep. Washer fluid, this is full. Every car we see on a daily basis, we always top off the washer fluid. It's one of those things where, especially in the winter times, we're using the washer fluid a lot more.
Now, when it's really hot out, the belts and the hoses in your car, they don't like it. But similarly, there's problems when it's really cold out. Tell us about those.
Just like when things are cold, especially rubber components, they're less flexible. So obviously you want to have good belts and hoses because if a belt is on the verge of breaking or there's a lot of cracks in it, it's going to break when it's cold.
Eric, tell us what we need to know when it comes to our windshield wipers.
Best thing is to keep them, you can see, they'll be, sometimes they'll tear down here. I don't know if you can see it at all, but you want to make sure they're not torn. If they're torn, they can scratch the windshield, and also they don't do a good job of cleaning the windshield.
Another thing that a lot of us don't think about when we think about our cars is the battery. You don't know about it until it's gone or it's dead. How do you keep your battery safe and sound in the winter?
Battery, one thing is keep the cables nice and clean. We find when a battery's 4 to 5 years old, it starts to become unreliable. So if you have 4 or 5 year old battery, you may want to have it tested or even replaced. When we change a battery out, we'll hook up a device to keep the power inside the car alive while we take the battery out. That way you don't have to reset your clock and all your radio presets and all that stuff.
Now, Eric, I think it's important to know we have a lot of experts who come onto our show. You're the expert's expert. You were bestowed one of the highest honors in your profession. Tell us about that.
Back in 2001, AC Delco's Technician of the Millennium Competition. Basically, they bugged cars all the same, and there's 3 phases: finals and semifinals, semifinal and final. And I was a grand prize winner.
Between the potholes and the ice, I think if anything else gets beaten up in your car over the wintertime, it's the tires. So Eric, we've meandered to the side of the car, and this is where a lot of the wintertime problems happen. It's in the tires, but first, let's talk about tire tread. How can you tell if your tire has the proper amount of tread on it?
Well, the most common method is to use a penny. They say the Lincoln's head is about 2/32, I believe, of an inch. And what they do is they hold the penny up here, and it should cover a lot of his head. If you see the whole head, you know the tire's getting low.
So it might be time for a new tire.
Yeah, especially in New England with the snow, you want a decent tread on the tires.
And a thick tire tread, it helps to repel the water from your car. Is that right?
Helps to repel water. It gives more places for the water to go in between the channels, and it also gives you better traction when you're in the snow.
Now, because we're hitting so many potholes and we're traversing through the snow, our tire pressure can get low pretty often now. A lot of us are lucky we have those little sensors in our car, but for those of us who don't, we can check the tire pressure ourselves with a little gadget like you have right here.
Yep. Yeah, what happens when it gets cold, the air in the tire contracts, and the pressure reduces because it has no place to go, and then it turns the light on in your dash. So usually typically we get a lot of tire lights going on this time of year.
Headlights. A lot of people have headlights that have become a little cloudy, and you have a system that can fix that.
We refinish them and make them look like brand new. It's a lot cheaper than replacing the actual lenses. And we stand behind that for 3 years, 36,000 miles.
Now, Eric, people can perform all of these self-checks, or they could come on down, because when people get their oil changed with you, not only is it affordable, but you go through a huge inspection system.
Yeah, every car that we do an oil change on, we have a multi-point inspection that we go through. We have a check sheet that the technicians are required to fill out, and we go from bumper to bumper checking lights and fluids and tire pressures.
And lastly, if you're having something more major done too, you're doing something that's really leading the Pioneer Valley. Not a lot of other people are doing it. You guarantee your parts and your labor.
Yeah, everything we do, it's 3-year, 36,000 mile warranty. If you get a brake job, we guarantee the brake job for 3 years, 36,000 miles. It's parts and labor. We feel that just like a new car warranty, we should be pretty comparable with a new car warranty.
And the other thing too, I think that builds is a lot of consumer trust, and you are so well versed and skilled, and you can talk about these things. You make it inviting, so when people come in, you can bring them around their car and show them what the problems are.
Yeah, we're more than happy to bring them out to the shop here and show them everything that we do.
Eric, thank you so much for showing us all the blunders that can happen to our car in winter. If people are interested in you, they can either stop here in Chicopee, or you can check them out online. There's always some sort of special that you have on your website, egautomotive.com.